Yeah, as per the agenda. Okay, so my name is Rajaneesh Balakrishnan. I am one of the UiPath MVP and the Intelligent Automation Manager at To Automate Anything Australia. Right. Community MVP since 2020. So this is the third time I'm being the proud UiPath MVP. I have been contributing, a lot of contents to the UiPath as well as doing a lot of work in the enterprise side, providing solutions through To Automate Anything. So To Automate Anything is a Sydney-based startup. So we are providing services, RPA services, testing services, and product services as well. And I have been one of the author of the book UiPath Associate Certification Guide. So in case if you are targeting for the UiPath Associate Certification, so this is a must-have book these days. Because it has been written by other two, MVPs, like their most valuable professional, as well as Nias Ahmed from UiPath itself. So this book is very, very good to read and nice to have just for your information in case if you are looking for associate certification, which is a must-have nowadays. My experiences. So I started working as a software test analyst initially and moved on to automation testing. And so far, my journey has been over 15 years of experience in IT and more than 10 years of automation experience. So recently, like these are my key client experiences where I have been introduced RPA and UiPath to the client side. And have been delivering a lot of testing as well as automation testing as well as RPA services in terms of automating a lot of repeated works to the clients and saving a lot of cost and time to them, as well as good experiences from the client. So let us come to the agenda. So on the high level, so today we are going to explore the desktop automation testing using UiPath Test Suite. So this tool is completely unique thanks to UiPath for providing such a unique experience and providing everything in the cloud, including the test manager, which is very easy to use. And this is very much different from all the automation testing tools available that are available in the market. I have been worked with so many tools, including Selenium and QTP, which is now UFT, and so many other testing tools. So this has provided a lot of very good experiences, which I am going to share in this session to you all. And the agenda is, I'm pretty not sure if everybody have the testing background. If most of you are developer, nothing to worry. I'll be taking you a small journey or a flashback about testing, how it works and everything, and then we will jump into the demo and how we implement the actual test automation. So before we do any automation, we should be knowing that why we are doing that, right? So I'll go through the principles and I will explain about what is desktop automation and what is the importance of doing the test desktop automation, why it is necessary in these days, right? And there is also a small difference between the RPA testing as well as the application testing, which I will be highlighting in detail. And also, like, I will be providing a demo on a very easy application on a desktop application, and I will be showing how to execute it from orchestrator or from test manager. Okay, let's get started. I hope you all are excited. I hope you will be attentive to this class and you may ask any questions that you may have at any point of time. If you have, just type and mention it in the chat, and we will take it from there. So what is testing? So different peoples have different perspective about testing, right? So this is a very fundamental thing that testing, it has, we call it a software testing. There are two words, software and testing. So whatever we use within a computer, it is a software. The one we are talking, the Zoom and on the YouTube, so everything is a software. So the testing, we need testing in a software, which is it's a process of evaluating a software product to find whether the software product is actually met the requirements, or is it fit for the purpose, right? So very simple definition is it fit for the purpose, right? So like when we talk about that, we talk about two things in the testing, like the verification and the validation, right? So verification is, verifying the systems or the documents or everything. And the validation is validating the requirement. So somebody says like, even if there is no defect in the system, is it good to use? No, still it is not good to use, right? We don't know whether it is good to use, but it doesn't have much defect, but we are still not sure. We are not sure if it is a good product, right? Because it has to be validated, right? It has to meet the user expectation. So which has to be validated by the acceptance criteria of the business. It needs to satisfy the customer. It needs to satisfy the business stakeholder. And finally, it needs to fit the purpose of the user, right? That is the, testing in a very simple terms. Right. And in a very high level, there are so many testing. I will say you, there are more than 150 plus type of testing within the testing department, right? Or testing, the software testing, there are 150 types. But on a high level, we just have very three things. One is the functional testing, and second one is the non-functional testing, and third is the maintenance testing, right? And we are pretty much focused on the functional testing, and within the functional testing also there are so many testing types available. But I will be just, for example, the unit testing is one of them. You might be heard about integration testing, smoke testing, or UAT testing. So these are all functional testing types, very basic types. So unit testing, like when a developer develops a software, he himself tests the application with the help of a tester sometimes, or without the help of a tester. He tests the modules available that is developed by the developer. So that is called unit testing, right? And integration testing is, there will be multiple applications or multiple modules within an application, or there will be applications outside the organization, or outside the department. So it has to be integrated. So the data will be flowing between these two applications or modules. So someone has to test and verify that the integration is proper, just to get the the integration data is flowing correctly. So that is integration testing. So smoke testing is something, like everything is ready, but then and there, on everyday basis, on weekly basis, based on a schedule, we check whether the application, it's working fine. Then and there, it is all good. Just it's kind of a safety testing on everyday basis before the application goes to a customer or a client. So we make sure everything is in place. So that is smoke testing. And UAT is user acceptance testing. So it is kind of a acceptance testing done by the business on the high level, whether the product meets or not. Okay, so on the non-functional testing, so there are so many abilities in non-functional, like scalability, usability, loadability, volumeability. Lot of abilities needs to be confirmed by the non-functional testing, but these are the very high levels. But our this session, nothing to do about this, but just to know that. But at times, UiPath also helps with this, non-functional testing types. So that will be, it's a separate topic, but on this one, we are focused on the desktop automation. Right. So, one more thing I want to talk about the testing, it's a very basic principles of software testing, right? So the testing, there are only, 7 principles of software testing. So if a company is able to, if a company or a software practice or agile team is able to follow this 7 basic principle, there will be many more time saved and effort saved in terms of testing activities, and there will be, the quality will be very high on delivering a product or a process. So everything will be very good if it's followed. So not many people, follow the principle or don't care about this principle. They involve testing, at very late in the cycle. So after developing everything and late in the cycle, they hire a tester and asks to test the application. And what happens? The tester comes in on, he keeps on raising so many defects. And the cost of fixing the defect is very high because the testing is introduced late in the cycle. So we will go through a few principles. Testing only show the presence of defect. Yeah, that is 100% true, because we cannot prove that the software is free of defects. So like some project or someone have the tendency to say that to assign some task to the tester and ask them to say that everything is working fine. No, the tester cannot confirm the application doesn't work, but he will test and find defects and tell no, there are so many deviations from the expectations, so there are many issues in the application. So that is what he can do. So testing is not to say that everything is fine, but testing is actually to say there is some defects, there are some problems in the applications, and there are certain actions that need to take to make sure we are delivering a good product to the end customer, right? So that kind of role is tester. And we will go to the next one. Exhaustive testing is not possible. Okay, and somebody says in a project or a process to they says you need to test everything, each and everything should be tested properly, there should be no defects, and somebody has that attitude to say to a testing team or a tester to test everything completely thoroughly. No, it is not possible, mate, because exhaustive testing is not possible. Even the tester, he is able to find as much defect as possible. He has put as much effort as possible, but still there might be few issues left out, which may be find out by a user or by a stakeholder or somebody, because every user have a different usability. So there might be few defects left out, and that is not problem. That is not a mistake of a specific tester or a testing team, but it should be an entire team effort, right? Early testing. So early testing is one of the very important concept. Tester or a testing team should be involved as early as in the life cycle, because as soon as you develop the requirements itself, we do something called the static testing, and the testers is the one who raise the right questions at the beginning to stop a few defects rising from the requirement. He asks the questions to make sure the requirement documents are documented properly, and the process design document and solution design document in RPA. So those kind of things also need to be tested. So we involve in RPA also, we involve some roles, right? Like RPA tester is a role we have these days to do all these things. That is to have the communication with the business stakeholders and do static testing. So all these kind of things are done. So what is the importance of doing this early testing? Because at the late of the after fixing everything or after developing a product, a tester is involved and he find a defect. So at that time, as per the SDLC in the software development life cycle, there are so many phases. So there is a requirement phase, there is a design phase, there is a development phase, there is an implement phase, and finally there is a maintenance phase. And after the delivery phase, you involve a tester, and already there are so many, you have already paid for the solution architect and the designers and the developers. Now the tester raised some critical defects. Now the entire project will be in trouble, because they have to fix right from the documents and through all the designs. It has to be done. And the main problem is nowadays it has to be very agile. The change has to be done very quickly, and you need to deliver the product really quickly. Then only the customer will be happy. But if you are spending a lot of time, so they will go to the competitors, or it is no more valid in the market. So and also the cost of fixing this defect will take more time, right? So you need to involve early testing, and testing is very important because of this. And defect clustering, this is a specific concept. Only a few modules have more number of defects, or in a perfectly working applications, because of a recently introduced small defect, it will cause a lot of problems around that module, or a specific module will have a group of defects, right? If so, that only that area is focused, you can improve the quality of the entire product, right? So these are the things that we need to look at. And the pesticide paradox, right? So this is why the testing has to be done in a way that the periodically the testing process has to be reviewed. So we have in testing also, there are several processes. We have the test design and test case execution, all these things. And in the SDLC also, there are so many phases going parallelly with the testing. So what happens at times, nowadays on the evolving applications like UiPath, or many other softwares, what happens, we are significantly adding so many features on a monthly basis or a weekly basis, a lot of new features coming in. But what happens actually is there will be testers in the background who will be writing so many test cases and executing so many test cases to make sure the product is working perfectly. But what will happen at some time, there will be a regression pack, and periodically these regression packs are not revised properly, so that few defects are left there itself. So a lot of new defects cannot be identified because we are already dealing with the existing test cases. So we have written so many test cases already, we are not revising that. If you keep on executing the same test cases, you no longer find some new defects, right? So that is the concept called pesticide paradox. So this comes from the term, right? In our gardens, like we use pesticides and we kill the bugs, right? So after a few days, these bugs are used to that pesticide and they still don't die. It will be coming and it's spoiling our garden. And so we need to change the pesticide. So it has to be revised frequently to make sure we are finding new defects and we are able to write new test cases, right? And testing is context dependent. Not all applications need to be very aggressively test. Right, some like the very safety critical applications like the chemical factories and the pharmacy industry. So they deal with the formula to add how much chemicals substances needs to be added. So those kind of thing, testing is a risk factor. It is a high risk or high critical area. So at those places, testing is very critical. But at a very personal website. So if you are developing a personal website and that one, your spelling mistake in your name, even I saw that my spelling is also mistake in some of these ads, and it doesn't impact me much, and it's not going to it's not a problem at all, because it's just a spelling. So the spelling in the name not going to make, so it's because only personal, only I'm going to see, and not many people knows about my spelling. So that doesn't matter. So that in that case, testing is not that necessary. It is okay to do less amount of testing in such area. And testing is context dependent only because of that. So based on the business, you can apply testing. So RPA solution has to be tested in certain way, and the application testing need to be tested in certain way, because the application you're going to test only how the application going to work, but the RPA solution you will be dealing along with the RPA solution itself. So it is part of the RPA solution itself, the testing. So that is different, and this application testing is different. So you need to deal accordingly. So absence of error fallacy. So which means, someone says that, I have tested everything and the application is very perfectly fine to use. It doesn't work that way, even though there is no defect at all. So it may not be true, because it looks like that you did not test it properly. Because some other user may find other defect. That is one case. Or the acceptance test criteria fails. So the actual software what you have developed for some purpose, it does not meet that purpose. So even though the software is developed in a very good quality and there is no defect and all the functions working perfectly, and the end of the day, if it is not satisfying the customer or the user, so developing such good software is of no use. Right. So that is called the absence of error fallacy. So I hope you got very basic principles of testing. And with this in mind, if you are following in whatever application or RPA solution you are doing, if you apply all this concept, you can make a better software. Right. So now let us go into the desktop application testing. So in the desktop application area, there are so many technologies are there in the market. So every company has its own standards and own policy and principles to develop the software, and they have developed using a lot of technologies. We don't even know the name of such technologies like COBOL, Fortran, and even before that they have developed the software. Such legacy applications also exist in many companies, And so the choice of your tools should support to automate those kind of applications. So nowadays web applications are very advanced. So you got React.NET, all the latest technologies, and you get a very good web application in the front end, and you get a very good experience, right? And nowadays, with the help of UiPath and this the object identification mechanism, the most of the recent web applications can be able to deal with the object identification concept. But it's not the same in the desktop application section. It is much more difficult because technology is different, and sometimes it's in the it's in the remote environment or the remote machine, and a lot of mainframes applications are there, and so many different types of applications are involved. And one more thing is, like, as I told, you have come across the unit testing, integration testing, smoke testing, all this kind of thing. So your testing tool should support integration of all these technologies, because while doing a regression, the data flows from one application to other application. And if the tools, for example, Selenium, you are going to use, and it is going to deal only with the web application, there is nothing to do with the desktop applications. And in certain enterprises, there are so many exercise or formalities to verify the validity of the applications to make it productionized. So there are so many processes, and if it fails the standard, it will be loss of time and money as well. So choosing the right tool is very essential to run all these applications together, right? So when I say about .NET, Java, so some tools, some automation tools I have seen, they are very good in automating the Java applications, but they are not really good in dealing with the .NET applications. So for .NET applications, you have to again come with some other packages and install that, and you need to get the approvals to install that. So there are so many processes you need to go in an organization. So similarly, for each and every technology, if you're going to do the same process, so I don't think you cannot finish the, you will be able to finish the project on time. So if you're delaying the, testing, it will, the delivery will be delayed to the project, right? In the market, the project delivery will be also delayed, which is not good. So finally, testing will be blamed for not finishing it on time. So, choosing the right tool is important. So, thankfully, I found out UiPath in that in quite very early stage of my career itself. So I am able to suggest this the UiPath as a tool to many clients, and they are very much satisfied because they are able to automate Java applications, .NET applications, even though legacy applications they are able to automate. Even the legacy application that don't even know the technology lot, very vast applications also able to automate using the UiPath. So which is very brilliant. Along with that, it can automate APIs, databases, and also all kind of web applications. So in an environment like in a banking domain or a healthcare domain, you will be coming across all the applications, and you need to test all these things in a specific environment, SIT environment or UAT environment. You will be testing all these applications together as a regression pack, and it will be very smooth. And going with UiPath, starting with UiPath is very quick. The doing a initiation or a proof of concept is also quite fast, and implementation is also very, very fast, right? And it has so many options within the UiPath Test Manager. And thanks for making the Test Manager as a web applications, because nowadays it's very lightweight tool, but it's providing a lot of functionality to bring in whatever I talked about in my testing concept, all the requirements, test case, and so many other tests. I will call it a test basis document, everything able to handle using the test manager itself, which we will be seeing in couple of moments. So desktop application has its own challenge in a organization settings or the organization environment, and moreover, not many testing tools are productionized, which means they are not able to be used in the production environment. They can be used in the test environment, but Traditionally, RPA is found for using in production, and even though it comes with the test suite product, it is very much fit to use in the production environment as well. So in the production, we have a robot which does the actual work, and there is another robot which is doing the testing work. So how powerful it is. So you achieve the development standard as well as the testing standards of a top quality, which means you are able to deliver a very brilliant product with absolutely maximum very less defect, very less chance of defect, and a high quality product we will be able to deliver. So that is why we desktop applications is a very key topic in the entire test suite sections. So if you are able to do desktop application very thoroughly, the rest of the things comes in place. So very handy. API is handy, and
I think that one only.
Yeah. Sorry, somebody ask any questions?
But some of the values it was there as 0.
Right. I can't hear you. Could you please be louder, or can you please text it in the chat?
Actually, that was not mentioned in PPT, so that like I was having a full course.
I'm not sure if Gayatri is speaking.
All right.
Then if I have doubt.
I see it. Okay, please. That's it in the desktop application testing, and we'll go through a quick question in the and then we will come back on the rest of this part.
Sure. Thank you so much, Rajaneesh. So what I'll do now is I'll share my screen, and what I'll request all of you to do is go to menti.com and log in with the credentials. So I believe you can see my screen now. So please go to menti.com and use the code. I'll also paste it on the chat over here. You can just go to the link and you will be signing up to this menti.com. Don't worry, the questions are easy. It's all about making sure that you answer it faster and have a very smart way of approach. We have 5 people that already logged in. Please just go to the link I have provided in the chat, and you will directly land up in this quiz. I'll wait for 1 more minute for everyone. So we'll have 2 questions asked right now, and then 2 questions in the later half of the session. Whoever is scoring the maximum points will stand a chance to win. Amazing. Last 30 seconds for anyone to join. If you are still not able to, which I have just posted on chat. If not, just go to menti.com and type the code 1413617. www.menti.com and post the code. 10 seconds, 10, 9, anyone else joining? I guess not. Perfect. So please focus on, oh, perfect, 1 person has joined. So please focus on your screen and the question will pop up soon. So you don't just have to give the right answer, you also have to answer it faster. So here's the first question. In UiPath Studio, we can explore automation testing, web application testing, and API testing together in a test set. It's a true or false question. 7 more seconds. Everyone has voted. It's a correct answer. Now, as everyone has gotten the correct answer, also the game is who answers the fastest. So where do we stand there? So here is the leaderboard. Anita has answered the fastest. Madhav, Harshit, Maria, you are not far away. We'll very quickly jump on to the next question. Hope you're understanding how this is going. So here comes the next question. Make sure that you answer fast. You can perform automation using UiPath on which of the following desktop application? .NET, it's not .NET, sorry, .NET, Java, legacy applications, or all of. You can perform automation on which of the following desktop applications? All of the above is the right answer. How many of you have gotten it right? Okay, so the leaderboard has quickly shifted. So I think that is on the quiz side for now. We will continue or resume the quiz in the second half of the session. As you can see, the contest is quite close. It is literally in the milliseconds. So please make sure that you give your full attention, and this entire leaderboard gets changed as well. So that is it from my side. I hand it over to.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, any questions that you have during this session, please do post it on the chat. You can also unmute yourself and ask the speaker. We will make sure that all your questions are answered during the course of the session itself. Yeah, that's it from my side, Rajaneesh. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Rohit. Rohit. Yeah, and well done, everyone. So it's very tight competition, and yeah, thank you for listening so far. And this will be the second part of the session. So first part, it will be more theoretical. It was more theoretical, but I hope it was not that boring. Okay, so now I'll introduce you to a desktop application. Okay, so I will take a very simple application which is called UI demo. Okay, so typically we'll be dealing with a login scenario. Okay, so this login is admin and password. Okay, username is admin and password is password itself. And when I log in, so I get this screen, right? So if so if I want to explain about this one, this is a deposit transaction, and there are a lot of data driven testing we can do is using that. So data driven testing, the cash in, honest check, and not honest check. So all these three requires a lot of data, and we can do this with so many data as well. So I think in the previous sessions we saw that data driven, so I don't want to talk much about that. And there are a lot of things before itself we need to do. So on logging in itself, we will take some scenario, right? So on login in, so first of all, we there will be a BDD scenario. So BDD is called as
Rajaneesh,
sorry,
we cannot see your screen if you share.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, thanks for that. I thought I was already in share. Okay. Okay, thank you very much. I did not realize that. So, I'll do it again. So it's a very simple application which is called UI demo. I give it as username and password. Okay, so so what I did is, I given a username here. So it is one input, and the password is another input. You can see this as a secure text. And I'm clicking on the login button. So I just touched on the enter key, and it is not working, the enter key. So I'm forced to click on the login button. So that is the 3 steps I need to do just to log in. And when I log in, I get this page, so which is the deposit transaction, and you can see there are a lot of data driven test cases within that. So you need to you know about that transaction. Each transaction data will have the cash in, honest check, and not honest check, and you can drive a data driven scenario in a one test case where you can drive thousands of data, and you can do that testing actually. So in testing we have a lot of things like smoke testing, regression testing, unit testing, and everything. So suppose imagine this the application is not developed, and we ask the developer to develop only the login screen. Right, so he will be doing some testing. Mostly developers tend to have these practices. They focus very positive guys, so they give only the positive scenario, like valid username and valid password. It goes in, but we can write so many test cases in the password, like login screen itself. Right username and right password, wrong username, wrong password, right username, wrong password, and wrong username, right password. So you got 4 scenarios within that, right? And then you click on the login button or press the enter button. So you can write so many test cases within that itself, right? So you can write this admin and password now. So I'll show how the developer develops. I'm just I'm focused on 2 types of development. So think about the application development. This UI demo is developed, so you can straight away go and test it. But when it is as part of the RPA solution, so there is something else. So we'll focus more on the RPA solution because these days a lot of RPA testing is needed here. So we'll focus on the RPA solution, how it's going to work. So, a RPA developer is asked to develop the workflow for logging in and first launching the application and logging in and, perform a deposit transaction. So he will start developing, and, different people have different practice of development. So they just record and do that, and few drag and drop the activities, and few write the annotations and like give some explanation on each activity, and just give only the sequential way. Some go with flowchart and some go with the state machines transitions and things like that. But as per the best practice, it is always this kind of basic transactions, very simple transaction. It's better to go with the sequence. And even though you go with the sequence, each and every function, it's better to write in a separate workflow. For example, launch in a separate workflow, login in a separate workflow. So it is easy for the tester to test. So all this has to be documented well in advance in a process design document. And if that is the case, developer will be also following that. So this is the reason tester needs to be coming back to the test principle. A tester needs to be involved early in the life cycle. And so he will tell that you need to follow these kind of things in the solution. He will ask you to write the separate workflows so that testing will be easy. Otherwise, you write all the workflow and give the ready-made solution, but it's very difficult to test because you cannot do assertion. So you come across, I'm pretty sure all the different types of assertion, that the expressions, all those things, how to verify each of the output. So you cannot do that in a whole framework. If you come across RE framework and things, it is quite difficult to deal with. So now we'll go with the sequence and see how the developer has developed initially. Okay, so let me bring up that solution. So here I need to think about two type of stakeholders. Now I'm doing as a developer who is developing these applications. So first of all, it's a deposit transactions. So for that, initially I written in full all the activities I have added, and it was working perfectly fine, but I am not able to test it properly. So I followed, there is a PDD document. Imagine there is a PDD document that asks me to invoke the workflow and then write it. So I write a kill all processes because it is instead of cleanup environment, I can say this as setup environment, because I need to set the environment right. And so setting up the environment is that if there is any UI demo application is already open, I need to close that application. Similarly, if there are multiple desktop applications or multiple web applications around that, you need to close everything, and your desktop should be in a clean state before you start any process, right? So what I did as part of this is I have certain applications which is UI demo, and it's a small PowerShell script. So where I'm going to close all the applications. So here UI demo is the only applications that I'm going to close. So this PowerShell script will just close. So you can alternatively, you can also click close on that application or kill the applications accordingly. But for me, this is quite handy. So I written a PowerShell script to do this. But don't be panic if you are not sure about PowerShell. It can be very easily done in UiPath in using kill applications. And you can also, using your click option, you can close the into mark and you can close that button. It's both are the same. Okay, so I set up all the environment first. There is no application open. Now it's all good to launch the application. Okay, so as part of the launch, so I'm launching the UI demo application. So which means, I'm just only launching the UI demo application. And the thing is that, some developer have the habit of hard coding things. So which is not a best practice. So as per UiPath best practice, we need to separate, create variables or arguments while launching the application, while passing the file name or giving a folder path. It's always good to have the variables or the arguments as per the your process design document. So here I'm passing the application path just to open it. The reason I'm telling is like we will pass the incorrect application path and test how it works, right? So for testing purpose, I'm creating this. At least for good testing, we can do that. So this launch application, just open the application so I can test this separately and log into the UI demo. As thinking positively, I thought that I will wait for the username to appear. Okay, so first of all, I attach the application like this, use the application using the application path, and I check if there is a username available. And if the username is available, which means the application is launched successfully, right? So if you can see here in the demo application, which is here. So if you see this, the username is there. We can make sure that application is open. Now it's time to log in, right? So the username is visible. So I say that the launch is successful, and I am asking the robot to enter the username. So this username is also parameterized. So which means using the test case, I can pass this username, right? And get password. Yeah, currently, I don't want to hide this password, but for some application, I cannot reveal the password. So, for safety purpose, I use this get password to get the actual password. But, just for testing, I use this variable. So I given in the solution, this variable is for testing. This needs to be removed before deployment to UAT or production. So, before you move to production, please make sure such activities are removed. So this is just only for testing, because I'm going to pass the wrong password. So I have different test cases which may ask to enter a wrong password. So I need a placeholder to pass a wrong password, and this is the thing. So instead of the password, I give a new password. So it enter the password and click on the login. Okay. So after click on the login, if it is able to see this. So now I manually log in. Okay, I manually log in and see this application. So if the robot is able to find this accept button or this cancel button, we can make sure this window, the login is successful. So if the login is not successful, this application does not throw any error. It will not do anything actually. It will just stay there. You need to give the correct user credentials to log into this application, and that is the requirement. Okay. So if I get this accept, so I say the login is successful. Okay. So here are a couple of arguments that I have created. I'm passing the so as per best practice, we give the in underscore, and for the direction is in, and out underscore for the direction is out, and finally I give out, just to make sure the accept button is available. Okay. So I'm writing just a few test cases, only to test the login. So you understand, for any big application, you are going to write such test cases, and to increase the number of, it's not about increasing the number of test cases, but it is, it actually means, the coverage of the requirements. So the number of requirements you have, you need to write at least one test case for each of the requirement, or you are able to map one big automated test case to all the requirement, right? So only the coverage matters. So we are mainly working for not for the number of test cases, but for covering all the requirements, because the customer is important to us, not like rather than the number of test cases, right? So here the login. So you saw the solution. It's pretty much simple. Okay. It's not that difficult. I just just log in, and I just launch and log in. So how do I write the test case? So for creating this demo project, the template that I used here is the process. Okay, so I used the process as the template. So for the testing solution, I'll be using this test automation template, and there are many more template in UiPath. But for this demo, like we used only this process and the test automation. So let me bring another solution, which is the testing solution. Okay. So there are a lot of features that I saw within this project or within this template. There are again a lot of templates and so many features are there, and I like a lot of things, so which I will sharing in a moment. So first thing is the test case. So if you are creating a workflow, you can convert that to test case. So that is one thing. And if it is a test case and you want to convert it to the workflow, still you can do that. Right. So that is one good feature. And like if you want to publish this to orchestrator, so you need to first of all set publishable. And let me create a test case here. So to create a test case, you need to right click and add and create a test case. Okay. So when you create a test case, it will give like that. And you say TC05 and data driven test case. Okay. So I'm going to create a data driven test case. So, when I create the data driven test case, if I have an Excel file, then I can select that. Or if you have any other source of files, you can get that way as well. But now I am not going to create all those things. I just want to, show you how a test case is created. So initially you can say it is disabled, and you right click on this, and when you set as publishable, you can publish it to orchestrator. And one more thing is that you need to publish this to the you need to link this to the test manager as well. So when you link to test manager, so it gives the option which project you need to link. So you need to know the project name, and you need to know which test case. So you can also create a test case wrapper in the test manager, so which I will be showing shortly. So if you know the test case number, so you can say invalid. So login. Yeah, so I have created for some test case like login successful, login not successful. So if there is some test case created, it will display. So you need to have the similar test case created, and you can map it and click on OK. So it will be, send it to the test manager. So currently, I don't want to deal with this. So I say that ignore from publish. Okay, so I'm not going to publish this. And there are also templates. So I told you about BDD, which is behavioral driven development. So you can actually create templates from this. So you can see the test case template, and it gives you to name some options, which is called the data driven, right? You can give a name, and you can select a template. So I like this BDD template. Reason because all the recent agile projects require this format. So when you select the BDD test case, and I'm going to choose none and create. So it will give you a wrapper, and you can either use this wrapper here, or you can copy this set to your test case and then write. So given, when, and then, right? So the given is a requirement. So the requirement is, as a user, what I want, you can copy the entire requirement there, which is like, you are going to clean up the data and you are pass the input there. Only the data part is there. When is the actual action, what is going to be done? You are going to open the application and you pass the data and click on the login. So that is the when. Then is like what's happened after that. So verify the results. So you are going to check whether the login is successful. So are you able to see the accept button or like that? So this is called the data driven test case. So we call this as behavioral driven development. So which is very essential these days, right? So that is the reason I have written test case mainly on the BDD format. Okay, so I'll show that. So in the given section, so I am using the path, which is the I know the file, like the application path where it is available, which is the UI demo. So I'm creating this application path, and set up the environment. You saw where I set up the environment. See, as a tester, if you don't know how to create the UiPath solution that is okay. You need to know how to use it. Okay, so you need to ask the developer to create that cleanup section, and you know to use that. That is more than enough. So what you do is, once you get the location from the developer, and you just go to that, and you need to know which is the file, workflow file for that. So here the kill all process is the file, so you can select that. So similarly, you need to know that. And if there is any arguments that you need to map, you can map that. So here there is no argument. So here it close only the UI demo application. So you no need to pass the application name. But in case if there is multiple applications, you can pass that name as well, create argument and pass it, right? So in the when actually you're doing the action, the right action you are going to do here. So here, what happens is, I'm just mapping here, which is the solution here. I want to launch. I'm going to test the launch. So this testing is like whether the application has launched successfully. So this is the test case for that, where I pass the application path and the UiPath window. So this is the output that I am getting from the solution, right? There is a window name I am getting. So what happens if the launch is successful, I get a window handle number, right? If the application is not open, I don't get a window handle number, which means there it is less than 0. So anything greater than 0, right, it means that application is open. So that is why I write a small this is also not much code here, no need to worry about this. See, actually what I have done is that handle I'm converting into the 2 int 32, which means it's a number. So if the number is greater than 0, I make sure this test case is successful. Okay, so this is one process. If you're able to create one test case, you can create multiple test cases. And this is test case 1 and test case 2. What I'm doing is deliberately I give verify application launch is not successful. So here it brings nothing, which means I am passing the path as incorrect. Okay, so here I did not pass it correctly. So this path I can give it incorrectly, but yeah, let it fail. Actually, we need a failure case as well. So I'm not passing a path, but if you're this is actually expecting a wrong path. If I'm giving a wrong path or a wrong exe, it should not open, right? So we need a test case for that as well. So it should not open, but deliberately let us fail this test case just to see the reports. Okay, and similarly, application. I think this is the one in demo application login not successful. Okay, so now I think you understand that where I am up to. So one is to where is the launch UI demo? Is there any login? Okay, actually we'll open from here. So application login successful. Okay, so this test case is application login successful. I set up the environment, I launch the application, and I do login. For login, what you require the username and password. So I pass the username and password. I am just getting the output as the accept button. I told that accept button if it is available, then the login is successful, right? So I get that, and application path and window availability I'm giving as input as well. And I'm finally verifying the availability. And usually it does not look in this way. Different developer will have a different structuring way, but as a tester, you can ask him to structure as per your process design document. So quickly, I will open the test manager and show you. So there is a requirements section. Okay, and first of all, you need to establish the connectivity from the studio to the test manager. Then only you will be able to publish the test case, and I will show you how to establish that connection. So when you right click and say the link to test manager, if it is already not linked, then it will give you an option to link. So which is actually here, test manager. All right, sorry. This test manager setting. So in this test manager setting, so you need to give the test manager link here. If it is not currently, it is connected. So to connect that, you can give this one. So you need to copy the entire thing from here just from the underscore, okay, from the underscore to the HTTPS till the underscore, you need that. So you give here and click on connect, it will get connected. So first thing, the connection is established from the studio to the orchestrator. Second thing, make the test cases as publishable. And third thing, publish the entire solution to the orchestrator, because this is the RPA testing. So you need a solution in the orchestrator as well, because it is going to test the actual solution. So we have two different solutions. One is the actual solution and then is the testing solution. So that is the reason I put both of them in the same folder. Let me bring the folder as well, and just to show you, it will give you a better idea. So you ask your developer also to have a similar setup. So the actual solution will be in the project and the testing solution will be in the testing folder. Okay. And as per your company process, you can follow that standard, but I follow, this one within the same project folder. I have a solution folder as well as the testing folder. It's for the RPA solution. So now since the connection is established, I make it as publishable and I publish the entire solution, both the solution to the orchestrator. I also publish all the test cases to the orchestrator. Okay. Sorry, all the test cases to the test manager. I mean, you are linking the link to test manager, and you also publish into your orchestrator, right? I'll be showing in orchestrator. So if you are slightly confused, you will understand it clearly. Okay. So let me open the where is my test manager? Come on, test manager. Yeah. So yeah, here is the test manager. So I create a project. So you saw the folder name. It is also UI demo. Just for making it same and not confused, I named this project as also is UI demo. Okay. So within this UI demo, first, let me explain the test manager side. Then I will explain the orchestrator side, and then I will show how both can be linked. Okay. So here the requirements. So we follow a BDD concept of writing the requirements. Okay. So first one is this is the launching the application, we can say. Right. So as an user, so here instead of login, I would say launch application. Okay. Launch UI demo application. So this is the first requirement. So as an user, I'm able to launch the UI demo application using the exe file from the correct folder location. So this will be the very high level, BDD requirement. But within this requirement, you can write so many requirements. So with the correct folder, you can ask, with the wrong folder also I can test, right? Or the wrong exe name also we can test. So tester will think about a lot of different scenarios, but the business person, he want only one thing. But as a tester, you can write, many test cases here, and you can data drive to, reduce the complexity. And so this is the first requirement. Okay. And this requirement, we need to write multiple test cases. So you can see I have written in the test cases side, multiple test cases, and two of them goes to application launch. So one is the successful application launch and other is the unsuccessful application launch. Those are two test cases. So in the successful, let us see what happens. In the successful, I have given a label as well. While creating as you can give some label so that it is easy for you to identify in the studio as well. Okay, so you give so since I have published from there, it says the status as automated. So we don't have any manual test cases here, but it is powerful to do the manual testing as well. But for this case, I only published the automated test case, and that is the reason it says the status is automated. Because if you unlink the automation, it will go away, and you can change this to manual, or you need to publish it one more time. Right. And the documents, I talked about the test basis document, right? The requirement document, the PDD design, the solution design. So all those are test basis document. You can add that document here, and you may, anything. Mukesh Kala. So you can add here any document. So think that is a requirement document. Okay, just for this testing, I have done that. So you can add all the test basis document as well, And test set is you are going to group the test cases. So for example, I told the unit testing, smoke testing, regression testing, all those things. So smoke testing is like testing then and there how it works. So I have 2 test cases for the smoke successful launch of application, and 2 for the regression as well. And here if you see that as I told, we can do application testing as well as the RPA testing. For application testing, you no need to necessarily do it with the orchestrator. You can do straight away from the test manager. So you can see the source comes from the test manager and few sources are coming from the orchestrator, right? So you can also link the orchestrator to the test manager. So which you can do it in this way. You need to go to the orchestrator first. So now I will be showing there and then coming back here, and we will run the cycle and see how it goes. Okay. So here I have published everything to this testing projects, and there are multiple processes here. And out of that there are 2 projects. So one is the UI demo deposit project, and one is the UI demo testing. Okay, so there are 2 things. And again, you can verify the versions from here. One is the pre-release version and one is the actual release version. So we are able to check the version and okay, it is correct, and unattended, and the priority as well. A lot of things are there. So we have the automation solution here, and within this you can also see this tab as testing. So in this testing, we can create a test set. So click on this add test set, and you can give a name like UAT testing. Even the UAT testing also can be automated in RPA world. So the UAT testing, and you can select which project it is. So I say the UI demo testing project, UI demo testing, and also I include the pre-release and click on the next. So it lists me all the available test cases. Here I write only 4 test cases. In your scenario, you have 100 or 200 of test cases. You can select which belongs to which test set, right? You have smoke, UAT, regression, all those things. Hope you understand. So you can select those things and then click on create. Your test set will be created. So in this case, I have created 2 test sets. One is the regression test set and one is the smoke test set. So smoke test has less number of test cases because it needs to be done quickly, and regression will have hundreds and thousands of test cases in some complex projects. Here for only the demo purpose, I have added only 4 test cases. And there are 2 things you can straight away run from here. From the orchestrator also you can achieve this run. If you click from execute, it will run from here. And you can run from the UiPath assistant as well. When it is deployed here, this is the second way you can run the project. And the third way is, you can run straight away from the test manager. So, for me, like I prefer running from orchestrator because I manage all the testing activities in the test manager, like taking care of the requirement, mapping the requirement with the test cases and the test cases with the test set and then with the defect. So I like doing in that way, but running everything, since I used with the UiPath Studio RPA development, I prefer UiPath orchestrator to take all these things. So, but here I will show the requirements. So next thing I want to cover is the actual coverage. So the requirement coverage and the test case coverage, defect coverage. So there are so many coverages in the testing world. So everything has its own formula. So in total number of test cases, how many test cases are executed, how many passed and failed. So that gives you a coverage of test case. And total number of requirements, how many are executed, gives you the coverage of requirements. So I actually like that concept called a traceability matrix, where you can trace from a requirement to the defect, and you get a defect, and then you can tell which requirement it belongs to. So it requires a lot of tool efforts and time, and a lot of tools in the past to do that. But the very brilliant thing and good thing is that in UiPath Test Suite Manager and the Test Manager, we are able to do that. So if you see that in one requirement, if I trace from the requirement, I can see how many test cases it have. And in the test, once it is executed, I know, if it has passed or failed. And then, currently I'm not able to raise a defect, but it will also be able to raise a defect here. So then you can trace the defect also. So, end-to-end traceability, we call it as forward traceability and as well as backward traceability, which we are able to do that, which is really brilliant. I like that a lot. And this regression is it's really good, because regression will be a biggest one, because there will be a lot of test cases. So to link that, I'll tell you how to link the test set. First, you need to create a test set. Okay, then you get a name here, or you can, for the test manager, or you need to click this small link, and it brings all the thing from the orchestrator. It shows which one you need. You saw that I created a regression and a smoke test in the orchestrator, so you can select one of them, and then you can click on link, so it will be linked. Similarly, you click on the registration and click on the link, it will be linked. So that way only I have created this way, the smoke test and regression. It is linked from the orchestrator, and that's why it says the source is the orchestrator, right? So here what I do, I just click on the regression and we can execute this. To execute the test case, this is the only way we can execute the test case from the test manager. Come to the test sets. So you cannot go from the test case or requirements. Come into the test case, click on this execute button. You can manually execute it if you want to. In case there is some issue establishing connection with the orchestrator, but you have all the application open and you are able to test it manually, it's okay, it's fine. So you can do it manually and pass or fail the test case and raise the defect. Otherwise, if everything is working fine, then you can click on the automated. And it starts the execution. But since I have two screens, sometimes it will be open there. Otherwise, I need to click and disturb that. So it is the PowerShell script which is running. So it's just to clean up the environment first, right? And UI demo is also here. Since I clicked, it is not. It did not like it that I clicked. But anyway, it will complain if it is failing, like we get a reason why it is failed. But I can see in the other window, it is executing now. It's typing the username and password. Sorry, you are not able to see that. I will quickly drag this one. So it is able to open that using the correct username and password. It's able to get the accept button. So it is going to the next, and it is closed because of the cleanup and things. Now it's the wrong username and password is running. And you can see, it's given the capital A, which is the wrong username and wrong password. So it will not work because it's the requirement. When it click it, if it is the wrong password, it will not move ahead. So I think it is finished. Yeah, 4 tests has finished. So we know, it's one of them is going to fail. So there is one failed test case and the other 3 pass. So one deliberately we have failed it. We can open the test case and see it's failed. So I would like to, create a defect at this point of time. Right, so it is in the test case and the test result. I can see there how many finished, how many passed and failed. You can see 3 of them are passed. Imagine your project has hundreds of things, you will have many, but it's very easy to see here. But if there are hundreds, you need to go for every page. So that is the way we have a dashboard, which I will be coming there in a moment after verifying this. So we know this why it is failed. So the was not equal to nothing with value null. So we expected null, but there is actually a value. So it's able to open, but I expected, I did not pass the wrong path, and it is expecting a null, but it's actually had some handle values. So that is why it failed. And you will be also able to take the screenshot. So the screenshot is quite funny. We got myself here. and here, and yeah, so you got the screenshot as well. And at this time, I would like to create a defect. I don't know why I am not able to create a defect from here. I suppose, it's because of the community edition it is, but in the enterprise edition, I believe you would be able to create this, and it would be straightforward to, easy to trace your backward traceability as well. And finally, we'll go to the dashboard and see, the automation rate is 100%, because, we have only 4 test cases and all of the test cases are automated test case. So that is why automation, we got 100%, and total coverage is 100% because, we covered all the requirements. There is only 2 requirements and we covered all the 2 requirements with 4 test cases. Everything is covered and it is 100%. But still we have one bad news because, there is one failed in this result. So for this day, we failed 1 and passed 3. But even the failure is also good in some cases because, failure makes people perfect. Because people who make mistakes, then next time they don't do that. So it's time to correct the project and deliver a better quality project. And I hope that developers will do that, and the testers will help them clear all these things with effective communication and in terms of helping each other. And I think we come to end of this. I thought more time I can create more in live, but I thought it's the time to end. But you can ask any questions if you may have. Thanks for that. Rohit, over to you, mate.
Yeah, thank you. Perfect. So I will again share my screen. I hope I'm audible. Yes. Yeah. Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are, Rohit. We can hear.
Thank you. Thank you. So I believe all of you are still on this Mentimeter. What I can do is, in case you have missed it, I can copy the link and I'll share it on the chat once again. Here it is. So if you are not there, if you have missed that screen, I have just shared the link. Please go there. I'll just wait for 30 seconds for everyone to come in. We have already completed 2 questions. We have 3 more to go. As you must have seen, the questions are not very tricky. They are very easy. It's all about being the fastest and making the accurate answer. I think everyone is already in. Anyone who is struggling to join, maybe you can just say on chat right now. Okay, I think everybody is in. Awesome. Thank you. So here we go. All set for the next question. And here it is. What is BDD approach? Behavior-driven development, behavior-driven development, behavior behind driven development. What is BDD approach? 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Behavior-driven development, most of you got it right. Let's see how the leaderboard changes. Okay. Okay, there is a big shift now. Madhav, you're still there in the reading. Krishna, Chaitanya, Vivek, and Hiroshi, you're all there. Here we go with the next one. Test execution can be performed from orchestrator, test manager, or both. Test execution can be performed from orchestrator, test manager, or both. Everyone got this pretty fast. Answer is both. Okay, mostly half of you got it right. Where are we now? Okay, I see again there will be a big shift. Madhav is still leading. Vivek, Maria, and Anita, you are still there in the race. Time for the final question. Please, people, be on your toes. Here comes the last question. In Test Manager, which section is used to execute test cases? Requirements, test cases, test sets, test results. In Test Manager, which section is used to execute test results, test cases, sorry. Requirements, test cases, test sets, and test results. Everyone is already quoted. Oh, a lot of you got that wrong. I have a massive shift. Madhav, you got it right. So we have a winner in Madhav, and a lot of you have seen. So, so the top four winners, Madhav, Krishna, Vivek, and Hiroshi. Please DM me your email IDs, and we will reach out to you with your questions. Others, you still have many more sessions coming in, so there are much more opportunities for you to win the awards in the coming sessions as well. Again, I must tell it's been a very close competition. So again, let me repeat, Madhav, Krishna, Vivek, and Hiroshi, please DM me on chat your email IDs and we will reach out to you. Before the session completes, please make sure that your email ID is with me. That is it. Let us open it up for Q&A. Any questions that you want to ask, please unmute yourself and raise it. We have Rajaneesh and Amit here and answer any questions that you might.
You may switch on your camera as well if you want to.
Yeah, that would be good.
Hi, Rajaneesh. Wonderful session. I'm actually a test engineer, senior test engineer now, so I can very much appreciate how UiPath is aiding the test capabilities. So how feasible is it to connect tools like Jira or any test management tool? For instance, we use here ServiceNow test management tool. So how difficult or how easy is it to connect to our test management here?
Yeah, it's quite easy, mate. So if it is ServiceNow or Jira, we have a connector in place to do that activities. So yeah, it's quite easy. So I'll share my screen and show you. So here, if you see in the project settings, so you have a connector. So in the integration part, you can connect with Azure DevOps, Jira, and where is that ServiceNow? Okay, so you need to map with the correct field names, and it will be all good. It's quite handy actually. You'll be able to do with service name as well. But you need to know the server URL, all the credentials and things. Then it will give options. You to select the requirements, test case, and defects. So a lot of custom fields that you can define, and then you can move it. It's quite easy, mate.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for asking that question, Krishna. It's a very good question.
Hi, Rajaneesh. Madhav this side. Am I audible?
Yeah, yes, Madhav, go ahead. Yeah, I can hear you.
So with regards to this desktop application automation with UiPath, I just wanted to know one scenario, like there is a desktop application that we are automating, and due to some reasons it moves into the unresponsive mode. So is there inbuilt any activity to handle the status of this application from
Okay, so you are
unresponsive to
saying that
responsive?
okay, while using with UiPath, it is going in unresponsive mode, or is generally in manually also?
In general case, if it goes to unresponsive mode, how is the recovery steps on UiPath?
Okay, no, what you mean? You need to tell me like manually what is the recovery step. So if there is an application, so you need to tell manually how it works. So if are you able to launch that application manually and able to do some transactions, or is it freezing in between and you are not able to open?
Yeah, exactly. It is freezing in between for a couple of seconds.
Okay, we
And,
call these kind of applications as highly unstable applications, right? And if your team can do something to make it a stable one, then it is fit for automation. So at this time, I honestly feel that it is not fit for automation. But still, you can still make some configuration changes or something, to make at least reasonably stable to do automation. Because automation, we check for few things, few basic criteria are there. The application should be stable, and it should be the repeated process should be there, and manual process, a lot of manual process, only that we do. But in this case, it is quite unstable, I think. Like, yeah, this is my opinion, but if anybody else, Rohit or um sorry, Amit, have any other opinion, you can add it.
Amit, you there?
Yes, hello.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Amit, I can hear you. Yes.
Hello.
Yes,
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 Amit.
Amit, we are audible.
Yeah.
Amit, did you get the question?
So he's saying like the application is sometime unstable and it's freezing. So he's asking us how we will automate those kind of application.
Okay. So what kind of app? It's a web application, or desktop or mobile?
It's a
Desktop.
Desktop application. And you meant to say that your application sometimes it's stable, sometimes it's unstable.
Yeah, what happens is, I can explain you better. So we have one desktop application. Generally, we input some values as Rajneesh showcased. There are some input fields that we need to update. And once we populate all the fields and click on enter button, the screen freezes for a few seconds, and then again it reappears with stable connection, with all the data validation screens. And during that time, we are facing difficulties to interact from automation tool to the application. So is there a feature or already some activities that UiPath provides to handle these kinds of behavior from the applications?
Okay. So it is the let's say you are interacting any data, and after that API calls are there, some things are there, right? And then to load the next further detailed information or populate some other data, it will take some times. That's a scenario, what I've understood.
Yeah, but challenge
Oh,
is we don't see any changes on the UI, but the screen freezes for a few seconds, and we are not able to use some kind of after change validation, like whether this field is visible or not. So that was the challenge.
Yeah.
okay. So in UiPath, there is the delays are there, right? So there is an interactive delay and complete delay, right? These two properties are there. Using these two properties, you can manage those things. So let's say maybe your screen will get freeze for 30 seconds, for example, right? Or sometimes it's a 40 second. You don't know. So let's say a maximum delay you are given 60 seconds, and if sometime it's appearing less than 60 second, right? So still it will go and perform the execution, further execution, whatever. So in UiPath, there's a delay activities are there, interactive and complete delay. So we using that way, it can solve your problem.
Okay, I will
Yeah.
explore on that.
Yeah. And
Good to
still
know
you
that.
have any questions or any difficulties, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and I will help you.
Okay,
Okay.
sure, Amit. Yeah, thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, Madhu.
Any other questions? We have 3 more minutes. So I think we are good. You can expect the recording of the session exactly